Hi, I'm Sam,
And I'm Sam.
and we're the Sams.
You are the Sams. And folks, we just wanted to welcome you to an episode of Sam's Talk. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Sam's Community TV, creating content to establish a community through genuine relationship building. And before we get into today's episode, I want to please ask that you hit the subscribe button and join our channel, join our community, so you know all the things that's going on. Make sure you hit the notification button. That way, when we go live, you can be notified and join us for the conversation. And as always, if you like the content, please make sure you hit the like button to help out the algorithm. So with that, Samantha, how are we doing this morning?
We're doing good. I'm excited. And it's crazy because it's like, I'm so excited to talk to you. And the folks out there, yes, we are married. And yes, I see him on a daily basis. And we do talk, but talking on here is different. And I feel like I got a lot to share. And it's just like, Sam throws these curveballs at me because he'll like, oh, I got something I want to ask you. Well, what is it? Well, wait, I want to wait till you're on camera. So I'm just really excited to be on here. I feel like it's been a minute. And I miss y'all. Also, Philly is like, it's a dreary, rainy day today. But all in all, it's good. How are you?
I'm well. So it is a dreary, rainy day, but at the same time, we've had a great week weather-wise. So I'm not upset about that. Sometimes, I mean, the rain is necessary. It's one of those things in life that has its value and benefits. And so even on a day like today, I am thankful, you know, slow you down a little bit too. And maybe allows you to focus on some things inward when it rains. It's funny. I remember we went camping and we came up with some very deep concepts around, what the rain offers in terms of washing away and restarting and,
Right.
energizing and nurturing and all those things. And so today's the day where as it rains, here we are.
Right. And now, we're into spring, even though it feels like winter got a chokehold on us. But, spring is new growth, new development. Like, even I'm stepping into, we're out of Pisces season now, we're in Aries, but it's like my 41st year, because now, mind you, they have not supported what I'm about to say. They can support me if they like, but I got my first online pair of glasses. Zilu, what you do, and I'm like, I can see they're cute. I feel like I'm going to have a problem. I'm going. I feel like the ordering process. You're gonna be like, what's this package coming to the door? Because what they do?
My unauthorized vendor list. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. What's the
Shout out
problem?
to So, I have been a glasses wearer my whole life, and it's doctor's office, you get your glasses, blah blah blah, and with your like insurance, and it's like always been a fee, like an extra cost, and people have been like last couple of years they're like, oh, I order mine online, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know if that's gonna work for me, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try, and I tried Zilu. And I was nervous because I'm like, what if they come and you get a headache because can't really see out of them, and OMG, can I tell you, one is cheaper than me going through my insurance. But what gets you, if you a shopper, what gets you is they like, oh, we having a sale. These glasses $7. Oh, we got a sale. These glasses $3. These $3.
$3.99, huh?
$3.99. Right. So it's just like I've gotten 3 pairs so far. I'm going to put a pause on it because I'm like, I can't go crazy, but they doing what they doing. Like this is my first really wide pair. So getting used to it. I got some purple up in there because that's my color. But let me know, folks, what you think of the new glasses. Always got my glasses, always got my mug. Okay, so
and shout out the what was the name of the
oh, it's Zilu. ZEELOOL, Zelu, .com. Again, they have not sponsored me, but you are more than welcome to, because I'm a lifetime customer, and our daughter has glasses too. So
we might be.
oh, we might be. Yes. I'm just saying, lifetime customer of always having to wear glasses.
We're a handshake away.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions, as always, kind of push you on the spot. First conversation I wanted to have is about communication.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And so I found this clip I stumbled upon recently, and I thought it was pretty cool. And this guy really offered a breakdown in terms of communication. I thought, wow, there are a lot of meaningful points. And I thought, why don't Samantha and I take a stab at breaking this thing down together and see what we come up with?
Okay, I'm ready.
You up for it?
I'm ready, Freddie.
You ready, Freddie? Let's do it.
Because, communication is important. And if you find when you get in a relationship, when you get married, it's always like the top thing. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
And what we'll do is we'll pause it as we need to if we hear something that we kind of want to stop and talk about.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
It's one of the greatest contributors to conflict. Not feeling heard is one of the most frustrating feelings we have. And people will literally compromise their character to feel understood. But one of the key reasons we yell and scream is people genuinely want to be heard.
Okay. I never thought of it that way. That, as simple as the reasons we yell and scream is just based out of an innate desire or interest to be heard. It makes sense.
So it makes sense when you're not in the moment. Because thinking about times where you're yelling or you're getting loud, I feel like it's because you're trying, it's not you don't think of, oh, I'm trying to be heard. I feel like I'm getting because you're not understanding, not you in particular, whoever the person is, it's you're not hearing me. So I have to get louder to make it clearer, which doesn't make sense when you think about it calmly. But it is interesting.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense when you think about it calmly?
Getting louder for someone to hear you or understand what you're saying.
I mean, I can understand that.
Right. But it's even with accelerating your voice, you're trying to get your point across, but if they're not hearing you at a normal, if they're not understanding what you're saying on a normal level, they're not going to understand it with you hollering.
Okay, so it's interesting because what you just did is you're talking about understanding, right? And so screaming and yelling, because he said here, and I was just thinking of the basic reason that we elevate our voice, generally speaking, is just to be heard, right? We yell or scream because we feel like someone can't hear us. All right, let's make it basic and simple. The children. Communicating with the children, right? And granted, we're in a fairly large space, right? And so a lot of times it's can they physically hear me from one room to another? If I'm in the back somewhere, can they hear me? And so if I'm not getting a response, if I'm on the third floor, I can elevate my voice just simply to ensure I'm being heard, right? It's not even about understanding. It's, hey, you call a name, you want a response, right? And so to me, I'm just saying, as basic as that is, I just never really thought of it that way. But I know he's about to go in the whole.
Wait, because we can't move. Because one, I feel like your analogy, especially since you pull kids in it, does not work. Here's the reason why. You can have with children, okay, it's selective hearing. And sometimes with adults, there's a selective hearing. It doesn't matter how the space, how big. You could be in one room. You can be in one room and you say something to them or you say their name, and if they're focused on something else or not even paying you any mind, they don't hear you. But let you sneak a bag of chips, okay, or open up a snack, and they hear you through the walls. So it's just like they hear their name. If you say, "Oh, it's time for a snack," they hear that. They can hear that even if you whisper it. But it's like, so I just feel like you got how. Yeah, it's different. I just feel like let's just stay with
So you
adults
feel
because
like they hear what they want to hear.
right, they hear what they want to hear.
Okay,
They
so
hear
let's say I will agree with that point wholeheartedly, right? They children hear what they want to hear. Generally speaking, when children are hearing what they want to hear, how do we get their attention?
you got to holler. And it's
Again,
like, all
I'm
right,
just
folks out there, does everybody have to holler at their kids?
point is that it's a universal principle. I
It's
think
just
it's a
like,
universal principle just in
let me
terms of
know.
the feeling of not being heard is that we default to yelling or screaming. And as simple as that is, I never thought about it. It's simple, it's basic. It is the default. If someone can't hear you, the first thing we do is raise our volume if we feel that someone is not hearing us, right? So, because there's a lot more of the clip, and I think maybe where you're
Right.
going might be
And maybe it's two different things because it's like, I know this is communication. So let's just stick there because hearing is another thing and
that's all.
how,
That's all. That's all. That's the only point that he's made so far.
right. Okay. I'm sorry. People are like, show the clip, show the clip. All right.
More than that, because people can hear without listening, and they can listen. They can listen
All right.
because people can hear without listening, and they can listen without comprehending. So what we really all desire is to feel understood. And one of the biggest mistakes we make as listeners is that we withhold understanding for disagreement. So we only take the time to understand something if we agree with it.
Oof.
Question: is it going to be low for the viewers?
Oh, you're having a hard time hearing that?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay. So let me. It's only been about 30 seconds. I'm going to start it over. We'll play it all the way through to this point.
Biggest contributors to conflict.
Oh.
Is one of the greatest contributors to conflict. But not feeling heard is one of the most frustrating feelings we have, and people will literally compromise their character to feel understood during conflict. It's one of the key reasons we yell and scream, and people genuinely want to be heard. But it's more than that, because people can hear without listening, and they can listen without comprehending. So what we really all desire is to feel understood.
Okay.
It's crazy that what he's saying is like, it's very profound because just thinking back at times like, argument or just like, where you're trying to you're trying to communicate, you're trying to get your point across, and it's like the person just doesn't get it. You raise your voice, like, people can go out of character, like that's when, like, screaming, hollering, name calling even like can come out where it's just like it can take you out of character. But it's like it doesn't matter because you're trying to just get them to really understand what you're saying and they're not, and it's frustrating and like all these emotions happen. But then at the end where he's like, um hearing and listening, like they're just two different things. Like you can listen and not understand, like, so just really hearing that it was wow.
I'm actually going to go back to a point that he said because he talked about withholding understanding, right? For disagreement. And that's the part that I even had to acknowledge about myself when there's a point of view or opinion that you have, and you feel the need to defend it. And I want my mind to mature where I don't withhold understanding from myself in order to, because I walked in with a different perspective. So I'm just going to go back a little bit to that point. We'll play past there.
Without listening, and they can listen without comprehending. So what we really all desire is to feel understood. And one of the biggest mistakes we make as listeners is that we withhold understanding for disagreement. So we only take the time to understand something if we agree with it. And what's crazy is that most of the time, our disagreements are a result of a lack of understanding. So if we would just take the time to develop a deeper understanding of an issue, we would actually be able to debate the merits of our own positions more effectively. But we live in a world where influence feels like manipulation, and we're afraid to change our thinking. And this rigidity has robbed us of intellectual discourse that's designed to make us well-informed. But conflict resolution is a skill that's reserved for the intellectually secure. And if you want to...
Do you want me to keep going?
I mean, you can stop. It's up to you.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that what he's saying, like, in regards to people, maybe that's even like people that don't really, how the whole thing, no new friends kind of thing, where it's like you're not getting a different perspective on, like, talking with people, dialogue. Like, I think you're really good. Like, even when we have, like, I'll have what I'm having dinners, and you mentioned regarding you rather, if there's someone that doesn't agree with you or has a different point of view, you'd rather like have a conversation with them just to learn more. And it's interesting because there are others that are just like, well, if you believe that way, or if you think this, it's just like, what's the point? We can't have a conversation. No, go on.
No, I'm sorry, please.
No, and I'll just go to, like, and it, like, people don't like change, but most everyone wants to be understood. And the fact that he said, like, it's easier to hear when someone is saying something you agree with than them not. It just makes you think, like, over, or me, it just makes me think, like, over conversations I've had in the past or arguments in the past, where it's just like, if the two people having the disagreement, it's like, if we just stop to really hear each other.
I think what it comes down to is a desire to learn. I think that's the whole trick. So regardless of what information, because all we are sort of like a conglomeration of all of our experiences, our IQ, essentially our ability to understand what's in front of us, what we've received, our nature and nurture, all those things, our biology, how we instinctually react to things versus what we were trained and how we were, instructed to react to things, what the answer is in our heads today, how we move about. Like, it's all sort of every moment, every breathing second of every day, as we absorb more information, we make different equations, right? And over time, we know we've experienced this huge changes in our lives when our thinking has been different. They talk about scenarios where every 7 years there's growth. You change who you are. I don't know if that's true. It might be more regular or frequently, but maybe that's, I know that that's a thing in terms of a frame of time where you just go through different maturation processes. I think when it comes to, it's interesting because you mentioned I'll have what I'm having dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in those spaces, that is the intent for me. My desire, my interest is to learn everyone around the table. I don't, already know who I am, and so for me, I don't really have a big desire of talking about myself when we invite people into our home because I want to get to know them. At the same time, I also want to create a space where people can share who they are uniquely and not feel that they have to conform to whatever the majority is. And that's why that's why I offer that perspective of, instead of pushing back, just ask more questions to understand the why. So I also think that I move this way in a lot of social circles in my life, but I can absolutely say that there have been professional scenarios where I've been dug in on an idea, and I don't know if I've really offered room for other perspectives. Part of me thought that that was my job, right? Where my job requires me to offer this perspective. And so I will now fight for it. But the question should always be, you need to have the posture to learn, because maybe there is something always to take back to the table and re-examine. And
I have a
so,
question.
yeah,
I have a question. So, do you feel as though it's easier for you to be open and listen to learn more with strangers than people you are closer to?
I think I always believe it's easier to have the new experience with the stranger, where they generally have a longer, like a different um leash, right? Because if you're talking to someone you know well and they start talking about something that you know is not quite it, you call them out on it. Like they don't have an opportunity to like glamorize, or what I mean, add all the bells and whistles to an experience that they had. A lot of times, when you're speaking with friends who you know really, really well, they don't color the things as brightly. Sometimes it's because the, I don't know. I think sometimes when you're sharing with people where the relationship is a little bit more removed, there's more of an appreciation to learning about what it is that you're doing.
Gotcha.
I,
Okay.
I think it's funny because we talk about what we experience in terms of our pursuit for our program, our organization, and how sometimes we wrestle with what continuous engagement looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of our conclusion is that we have to look much outward than our focus has been.
Right.
And I think that kind of speaks to what this whole experience as well, where, there is an opportunity where the engagement actually is a little bit more removed than what we're comfortable or used to operating in. And I think that's the transition mentally that we have to make. And I think for a lot of people, when you meet someone new, but I mean, they're personality types, right? There's some people who won't talk to anyone that they met for the first time. Meeting strangers is there's a lot of anxiety in those kind of experiences.
Right. I was asking personally about you, like you personally.
It depends. It depends. It's case by case. If it's someone who, I guess it's based off of their level of understanding. Am I talking to someone who truly understands what I'm talking about? If they do, then we can go there. If they don't, I'm not going to go in depth with someone if I feel that they don't have the depths for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, communication, relationship, everything is a relationship with friends, family, your spouse, partner, significant other. boo thing, whatever. There's everything is a relationship, and it's just like with that, communication is important, but we do need to find ways to really just be able to try to understand, like the trying to understand where the person is coming from. Not saying it's going to cease and desist all arguments, but just really trying to hear them.
Maybe that's part of what we foster is a space where the interest is in learning, and communication is part of one of the components or elements of Sam's community that we try to help in the development. So in our sessions or in person community meetings, like maybe that's something we are very cognizant of as we curate these engagements. And when there are moments where people aren't hearing each other, we kind of make sure that it's acknowledged, because I think it should all be about growth and learning. And for me, that offers a lot of genuine relationship building.
Yes.
So, all right, let's see. Let's go back to what else we got for us here.
Resolution is a skill that's reserved for the intellectually secure. And if you want to improve your conflict skills, you have to be willing to hear, listen, and comprehend other positions, even if you don't agree with them. But allowing others to feel understood minimizes defensiveness, it demonstrates respect, and that's what opens the door for consensus despite contention.
Yeah. Okay. And I thought the part about conflict resolution, that's the key. And that's why I think in hearing it, I realized that I absolutely need to apply this professionally a lot more regularly. Even in going into meetings where, again, I might have a position that I'm defending, it can't be at the cost of my own understanding of other perspectives. And there's where I can acknowledge I've not had the proper foresight to realize there's always an opportunity to learn.
There's so many things that I feel like that we should be taught younger, like that we are not, and that like conflict resolution should be a big piece, because it's in everyday life, like everything. Yeah, it's he's saying he's dropping some gems.
Yeah. No, this guy, I wish I could cite him because I don't really know anything about this gentleman, but I thought that was a pretty powerful statements that he made.
And if you know the gentleman, drop it in the comments.
Right. Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah. Let us know. And let us know what you think. Like, or different ways, like, you have tried to understand or listen better. Yeah. Let us know.
So, next topic. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you hear the word backup plan and safety net, what comes to mind?
So, okay, I think they're different. Backup plan, I feel like, so we're talking in a relationship.
I'm just talking about in general. Let's start with that. How would you let's be very, let's take them to school, right? We're going to do a lesson.
Because I have two different definitions. If it's solely, singularly definition, or if you're with someone.
Okay, so again, here's how I would like to do this.
Okay, give me the rules.
Define the words ourselves, and then I'll offer what I've looked
right
up with a definition.
Because everybody has a different definition.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you
the context is just as you see backup plan. What does that mean? Just in terms of not not applying to anything other than what is a backup plan. If I am a child, what is a
Okay.
backup plan?
A backup plan is having another plan in place if the first one does not work out.
Okay.
Safety net, very basic. Safety net is having a plan and together to catch you if you fall, basically. Not fall literally. I mean, it could. That's a safety net, but just like
Definitely.
um, a, a resource or like um, something to something to catch you. You know,
Okay.
but and that's just again. But if you, I got different definitions. If it's
Sure.
relationship based.
Understood. I was just asking for the definition.
Okay. Okay. So go on.
So again, I will also backup plan. I do think is an alternate plan. You have an alternate plan in order to achieve whatever objective. You have the first plan, then you have an alternate plan. That's for the backup plan, and then the safety net is some sort of apparatus designed to catch you if you fall. Something that is in place that gives you a soft landing where you are not, you don't hit the bottom. It stops you from hitting the bottom. That's how I would define safety net and backup plan.
I like that apparatus.
You like
Look how with the big words on this Saturday morning.
that? All right.
Okay.
So now
All
let's
right.
go to the definitions of the word.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go with backup plan first. So it's interesting because a backup plan is a phrase. So you're not gonna have the same sort of definition opportunity like of Webster's or Merriam's, right? So here's one. It says a backup plan is one that is used when an initial plan fails. Example: when the contingency plan fails, the fallback plan is the backup plan. In project management, there are 3 reasons to have backup plans. There are project reasons should have a backup. That's interesting because this says when a contingency plan fails, the fallback plan is the backup plan. The contingency plan is generally the second plan.
So
That's even deeper because this is saying a backup plan theoretically would be the third plan. Why don't you start with your definition?
well, you didn't do safety plan.
Oh, safety net. All right.
Right,
So that's
safety net.
so safety net. Now it's just straight out of Merriam's dictionary, Merriam-Webster. Safety net, something that provides security against misfortune or difficulty. Something that provides security against misfortune or difficulty. Very straightforward. I like that. Something that provides security against misfortune or difficulty. Now, backup plan, safety net. Here's the question. Ready for the question? And maybe this will allow you to offer your responses as you need to.
Okay.
Where do we apply it in our lives?
Okay. So
Backup plan, safety nets. Where are they applicable?
I mean, again, if this is, I just want to, because again, it's what frame your mind you're in. So if it's singular, backup plan is whatever you're like, backup plan is like, again, like the definition said, if you have a plan to do something, the backup is this. Safety net is have something for a rainy day, like now if you're in a relationship, to me a backup plan is if this doesn't relationship doesn't work out, I got people in the way or a person on standby kind of thing. That's my
That's
backup plan.
that's a backup plan in a relationship.
Right.
Okay.
A safety net in a relationship is like you have you know, finances or a location where if this relationship does not work, you are not solely like, you know, you have the means to run if you need to, or get away. Or if it's not that, you know, devastating, but you, if it breaks up, you have this safety net to where it's like, I'm not going to be um that bad off, you know, kind of thing.
Right.
What about you?
No, I think that your definition of both are accurate. A backup plan generally is in a relationship, in terms of the context of a relationship, I agree that a backup plan means that there is someone else that you've identified in some way, shape, or form that you believe at least if this present relationship doesn't work, I would be able to seamlessly engage or transition to them.
Right.
Um, and with the safety net, I do think usually it's squirreling money away in the event that something fails in a relationship and I have a financial obligation or commitment to meet. And I need to ensure that I'm able to meet whatever that obligation is. And so I will create a safety net within this relationship in the case I have to break glass.
Now here's the thing. You saying it is interesting. Like, I mean, you're just hearing you say it is interesting because it's like when I think of safety net, like you just said, you know, squirreling away, having to break the glass, blah blah blah. I hear it more for women.
Hmm.
Like I don't growing up or even now, like I wouldn't think, oh, a man is squirreling anything away as a safety net if the relationship doesn't work. I automatic go to woman.
Yeah, I think when I think about safety net in the context of relationship, I probably also would default to a behavior that more women would engage in. I think there are absolutely many scenarios where men would protect themselves um, I- by
So like is
maybe
a prenup a safety net?
a prenup is definitely a safety net.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that absolutely. It's by definition, again, definition is something that provides security against misfortune or difficulty. I mean, not difficulty, but misfortune.
Right.
You know. So here's a question though, because a prenup obviously is something that both parties have to sign and be aware of,
Right.
which means that everyone understands that this is the safety net that this person is taking in terms of our engagement together. Which so here's the question: is it wrong to have safety nets in relationships and or backup plans in relationships?
I think it's wrong to have a backup plan in a relationship because
Okay.
it's like you all should be with that person and not you over here, like, you know, still engaging or participating in another relationship to keep it as your backup plan. So I don't think you should have a backup plan in a relationship. It's all or nothing, like kind of thing.
Okay.
Safety nets, I will never not tell someone to have a safety net. And
You
it's
would
not
never not
that
tell someone to have a safety net. Okay.
and it's not that it's like it's not saying, oh, you don't fully believe that your relationship is going to work. It's that's not it. I mean, they I don't know. Like things have happened in life. You've seen, heard stories. I mean, it's trickled down. Like, I mean, from my grandmother to my mother to me. Like, it's just things you grow up where it's like you need to do this. And if nothing drastic ever happens, you know, then you retire on your cushion. I don't know. Like, I would never tell anyone not to have a safety net. You need it. And you even need it in a relationship because, like, you squirrel away for that because, like, things happen. Like, you live in a house, man. Life be life, and like you need to fix that, or rainy day fund, or whatever. But a personal safety net in a relationship, I think it's acceptable.
How about in the marriage?
I think it's acceptable. Safety, not backup.
Okay. So rainy day, house stuff, life be lifing. We all are trying to put money aside for different emergencies that come up, right?
Right.
And we're also supposed to be putting emergency money aside against the person that we're with.
So, like, safety net can also, like, I just feel like anything for it's life insurance. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Not in context of a relationship. That's not what a safety net is. A safety net isn't savings. A safety net isn't an investment. A safety net is something that you are scrolling away in the event that you're no longer with your spouse or your partner or whoever you're with.
right.
Safety net is not life insurance.
Okay.
Safety net is life insurance, but not in the context of a safety net in a relationship.
True. Agreed. I agree with that.
Okay. So you still agree that you would never tell anyone not to have a safety net. So here's what's interesting. Both, I think, are not conducive to a good relationship, in my opinion. And here's why.
Okay.
I'm going to play something that I found. Where is it? So this is why I don't think that it is conducive to.
All right. Well, can I ask you a question? Can I
Sure.
ask you a question? So, what about, you know how people, there are some couples, some married couples, where all their money gets pooled together, right? Then you have other couples where it's like money is pulled together, but then you also have separate accounts, right? Where whether you're saving with that account, whether you're paying bills with that account, but everything's not globbed into one.
Okay.
With that, with those separate accounts, that is acceptable. You think that's okay?
Having separate bank accounts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Having
Okay.
separate bank accounts?
Right. Because it's like that other account, you don't know what's going on over there.
I don't know what's going on over there.
Right.
But what is the correlation?
I'm just saying, like, okay, if you believe you are okay with having separate accounts,
Correct.
then why aren't you okay with a safety
Here's why. Good segue, ma'am.
net?
Sometimes I think we're a team. Here we go.
It's physically impossible for you to work on something that you subconsciously believe won't work. That's why belief is more important than ability. Belief is more important than knowledge. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. People think, well, as soon as I know how, I do it. No, as soon as you believe you can do it, you'll figure out how.
So it's the first part of
Okay.
this.
Okay.
No, you're right. It's physically impossible for you to work
Okay.
on something
You'll have to play him again.
you consciously believe won't work.
It's physically impossible to work on something that you don't believe, that you physically believe won't work.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to explain this. I understand what he is saying. I agree with what he's saying. Like, words are powerful. Like, all, like, I get it. Like, if you believe, it can happen, right? But I don't, like, okay, we're just gonna put it in full context of me and you, right? We are married. We just celebrated our 8 years together. I believe that our marriage is going to go the long, like, to the end of time, right? With knowing that, me believing that, me knowing how I feel, a marriage is also two people, right? And I cannot control how you feel.
Okay.
And as much as I believe, I know it in my embedded in my physical being, right? That I want to be with you till death, right? I cannot say that is the same or will be the same for you.
Okay.
So that is why you have a safety net just in case.
I hear you. I think so since we're just sharing, you mentioned how it trickled down from your grandmother to your mother to you. This
Right.
whole notion of a safety net. Is it possible that experiences contribute to a desire or a need to have a safety net?
It can, because it's also like,
No. Do you think it did?
yes, and also hearing
Okay.
stories.
Right. So what this is, it's fear-based. There's a fear, and the fear is influencing your belief system to the point where a safety net is a requirement. It's your belief system. Both things can't be true. Because here's the problem. Here's the fundamental problem with safety nets. If you can't be all in if you're not all in. Both things can't be true. You can't say you're all in and we're one if you have something on the side that's on the side for you alone. Then we're not one. Emergency money isn't truly emergency money if you always have something, or emergency anything, whatever the resource is. If there's something that only you have access to, then that doesn't, the union isn't truly that, right? There's something that's outside of the union. And the fundamental issue is that, as if you're in a union with someone and you're planning a future, and you look at your resources in totality and you create a plan on how it's going to be utilized for your future, you now have resources that aren't contributing to that, that are not part of the equation, that could be benefiting the entire family, and generally speaking usually sit dormant. It's not active, right? And so the opportunity to grow and have exponential, I mean, it could have been utilized for piano lessons, karate, like whatever those small things, in investments into your family. Instead, those resources are literally buried over time. And then at the end, you say, well, if nothing happens, at least you have a cushion. There's no value in that cushion. That should have been used for the family theoretically, because you're a part of the union. So just to be at the end of your days and you by yourself have this cushion to say, well, oh, I never had to break the glass. To me, that's not, that still doesn't,
Okay. But so here's the thing then. Okay. You know how you just said it's fine having separate bank accounts. So what if it's just savings?
Say what?
You said you're okay with a couple having separate bank accounts.
What
Married
I'm
couple having.
saying is that
So what if they
this,
were in savings?
the point is simply this: you having your own account, me having my own account is moot. When we have to make decisions, it's all it goes into the pot where we have to make decisions in terms of what we're going to do. We count all the coins, regardless of who's managing them. I'm not managing them, but when we have to make decisions in terms of a future plan, all the coins are counted. But what you're saying, there's an account that's not part of the calculation. That to me is fundamentally problematic because then theoretically I can then say, hey, for my safety, maybe there's something I choose to not include in our relationship. That's not resources. Maybe it's something more emotional that just for my safety, I'm unwilling to go, you know what I'm saying? Like, just in
Right.
case it goes sour, I'm not going to expose these things to
Right. I'm
you.
not going to be right.
Right. So I'm gonna take this information elsewhere. So I'm
Late.
gonna invest this elsewhere for my safety and protection, even though I think we'll be together forever. But this friend has always been there, and so I'm gonna continue to invest for my safety, this piece of me, unbeknownst to the family, because it's for my safety. So I'm just saying that when you have a safety net in the context of a marriage, I think it's problematic if the safety net isn't transparent, right? If it's transparent, then we're all aware of how we're moving. It's still part of the plan, it's on the table. But once I have something that is not being accounted for, there's where it's fundamentally challenging for me to say I would tell anyone to have a safety net in a marriage. When it comes to relationships, I don't care what people do because I have a whole new, again, talk about growth and understanding. I have a whole new lens on how I see relationships. I don't think there's value in relationships outside of marriage. I already talked about how I think people should come to decisions on who they should wed, and it's not based off of romantic relationships prior. So when it comes to a marriage, safety nets are something that the union is trying to prepare for in terms of safety, not safety from one another. Because if that's how you feel, then that's your belief system. Maybe the two of you shouldn't be getting married. And then when it comes to a backup plan, I just think that's utterly ridiculous. I think if you have a backup plan in terms of a marriage, because now we're not, again, I think backup plans happen a lot in relationships because relationships are just what they are. It's who you are physically attracted to in the moment. It's like who's kind of like moving you in that kind of way, in my opinion. And that's why I think people flow in and out of them so easily nowadays because it's all about how the person makes you feel. So backup plans, again, it's a bad deal because you're not invested. You're not
Right.
invested if there's someone else on the side. You're just not.
Yeah. It's just like you're not, like I said earlier, you're not putting your all in, because you're over here, you're over, and it's just like if you're into this one person, like develop that, nurture that. I hear what you're saying, and you know, I hear what you're saying.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's only a decision out of fear. Because especially if you have your own, I mean, even think about the idea that you have your own accounts. So if you already have your own accounts, why? So it's one of two things. Either it's a lack of trust in who your spouse is, and or it is just a fear-based decision that going into it's like, here's how I operate because I need that whoever I'm with, I have to operate with these level of protection regardless. It's not even about the other person. It's like this is how I enter relationships is with this protection.
Right. I wouldn't say it's a trust. It's not a trust thing.
It's
Like
not a trust thing.
right, like I trust you. Like I do. It,
So if it's not about trust, then what would be the it
it's
would
the
have to be
unknown.
right, but the unknown is where it's trust because what is the scenario where
Did you
yeah, I
freeze?
mean, say
Oh,
what?
I think you froze.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to think of any scenario where, again,
So do you want me to tell you my history? Like, do you want to know?
no, I don't. I mean, I think it's evident that there is a history. I don't think people just enter relationships thinking I need a safety net unless either that's been part of like the indoctrination, the educational model where it's like, hey, this is what you
You
have to
brought
do in a
up.
relationship.
Yeah, like you're brought up.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, as opposed to an experience. And it could be both. But I think generally speaking, those are not, those are, if something has gone wrong, not as planned. And all I'm saying is, I recognize that there are things that people should do, but to me, that happens before you get married. Like that's why marriage is for the mature. I just think that it's a I would be very much you're holding back.
All right. Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, not I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking to you.
no, no,
I'm just
no,
saying in general, a person who is operating that way, like they're not fully committed. Especially if like there are other plans that are happening family wise with investments, etc., where it's like, hey, and the whole time, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just this buried something that is just not contributing to the household. I just don't. I just think that you are in it's selfish to like if we're being fair because the children
right,
don't benefit from it either. So that's another thing when it comes to safety nets. Like when I say it's about marriage, because I'm only looking at this in
right.
the
The
terms
entire family, the
of
family as a
marriage,
whole.
right? But the
Right,
marriage is important because we're a union, and that's where it should have counted first. So the
right,
children are secondary. The fact is, once you're a union, it's combined. I'm not saying you can't manage it, but I need to know what it is. An idea that you have something that I don't know of means that do you there's something about there's something there that causes hesitation for the full
right.
merger.
So just to be clear to folks, okay, it's not like Sam did not know. And
And
also
did not know what.
like safety net.
I didn't know.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I would have offered this perspective. I mean, it's not the safety net to me. It, it, okay, I'm just saying, like I understand. I understand where it comes from. I do. I get it. We grew up differently, so I'm not. It's not missed on me. But I'm hoping before it's not too late, you reconsider. Hey, what if I did contribute this to what we were doing? And
Right.
I'm just saying, like, what could the value be to the entire family? And or what am I really concerned about? What am I scared of? Like that also is true. There's something there. And that's why, I think listen, we're in a relationship as a married couple. Like a marriage is a relationship. And so I'm continuing to learn Samantha, she's continuing to learn me. People, always sort of look at our relationship as like, hey, that's it kind of thing. I don't know what that means. All I know is that we're together because we
Right.
make a choice to be together every day. Like that much I know is how it works. We choose each other daily. So even in this, us going on live and coming to this discovery at the same time, I'm not like, oh no, there's something broken because this exists. I just think this is part of one of those another situation that we look at, we talk through, and we figure out for us and the vision, what works.
Right.
Um, you know, and so, you know,
And I
I also realize that it comes from a place, a real place. And so to me, that's really the bigger piece. It's the why you feel the need to have it. It's not that you have it, it's the why you feel the need to have it that I think I would like to look into.
right. And I appreciate our relationship because we can um, dive into that. I also, you know, again, for people watching this, and you can put it in the comments, you know, in your marriage, your relationships, do you find, what are your answers to these questions in regards to backup plan and safety net? Do you have them, you know, um, or not? You know, just to love to read your comments and thoughts.
Yeah.
Right before we end, it was just like, you know, the one again, the excitement of being able to talk to you again on camera, and then like just to share, like we're about to have a 4-year-old, like it's blowing my mind emotionally, like thinking that our last baby is 4. Um, yeah, every season, folks.
Yep.
He is spicy.
No, what am I processing? I guess I'll just say, you know, as a proud dad moment is that, you know, on his own volition, he asked me to sign him up for both boxing and basketball. And even though we've already had him signed up for boxing, the fact that he came to me with that request, just I think a tear was shed that day because I don't want to force him into anything. I want him to pick up whatever he's interested in, what he likes. And so far, so good. He's liking what I like. So
Yes,
yeah, I'm
welcome,
excited about
humble. Thanks for watching, folks.
that. Please make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification button on the way out. Until next time, folks.
Stay blessed.
Peace.